Hi, everybody. Janet Eichhorst here. Welcome to episode 8 of this podcast series. Um, I've got what I think is a start point here. My human really likes to know what I'm going to talk about, and I really don't have an idea most times. And I do have a start point today, so I'm grateful for that. In episode 1, which was called Remembering Your Power, I kind of invited you and myself to go for it. Okay. And I still want to keep that theme for this podcast series. In the last podcast, in podcast 7, I talked about commitment. I talked about aligning our intentions and our actions. And at the end of that episode, what I what I invited people to do is look at what your criteria is for success. And wow, that's so funny. I'm having a completely blank moment right now. Oh, I know what it is. At the end of episode 7, what I talked about is that showing up is what's really important. And that is the criteria for success that I fully embrace. And so when we talk about going for it and showing up, what I want to do is kind of hold that as a space here and examine together what our yes points are, right? What our perspective points are, what our navigational points are. And the reason I want to talk about this today is because what I'm witnessing, what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing, how I'm supporting people, there is such profound change happening now. And I know I've talked about this forever, and I wanted to go a little deeper with this because I think it helps. It helps us find um, ways to navigate, ways to appreciate the process more, ways to not judge ourselves, ways to know that we can stay in those yes moments even when it feels uncomfortable. Because we all know what changes, right? It's the most constant thing we have in our planet. And it's something my dad reminds me often of in our conversations. Even though his cognitive ability has declined, that's one thing that he keeps reminding me is change. It's the only constant thing that we have here. And this is true. Everything is constantly changing, it's constantly being recreated anew every moment, every breath. And what I see happening now, and this you can look inside of yourself, and you can, if you happen to look at the news, if you happen to look in your community, we are really trying to complete dynamics, operational systems that are not functional, workable anymore because they're not honoring the true essence of who we are in all of us, right? There's control mechanisms in there. There's greed in there. There's not caring about another in there. And it's not surface level. It's not even a little deeper. It's the whole fabric of how this reality operates. And it's fascinating. I was talking to a friend this morning, and one of the things I was reflecting on is that there's so many details and ways that this is happening that we can't possibly hold it in our consciousness. And what that does is that our minds, can't comprehend it. So it gives us a real opportunity to reset and be something different. Because in the past, if the change is smaller, we can kind of get a handle of it and look at all of it at the same time and make kind of conscious decisions around it. Well, this is the whole fabric of how we're operating, including how our neurological systems and our brains are operating. So even that is changing. So one of the points I wanted to make is that when we talk about going for it and showing up, we can think about that in terms of big things. Sometimes those are very seemingly small things. Those little choice points where I would have gone here and I decide to go here. And with this process of this huge change, the whole foundational structure, the fabric of existence, with these changes that we're having, all these choice points that we're presented with each and every moment that shift everything. And with that, we get to consider what's really important. Let's take a breath here. Okay, and I just want to invite everybody to find your true essence, right? That stargate of your heart, your mind, your body, mind, body, heart, spirit, dimensional aspects. Invite all of you here and consider that you are made of unconditional love, that you're more brilliant than you've ever, ever, ever could even imagine, and that things are possible that your brain can't even comprehend. And so, as we're considering these choice points, these yes points, these perspective and navigational choices, we really want to have that life force essence, that divine force active. And then there's a way to be present to whatever's happening. I mean, I'll give this as an example for myself. I have felt, I'll say, crazy. And those of you that know me, this wouldn't be a strange thing for me to say, because my perspective tends to be unique, and the way I live is probably different than most of the population. And I've accepted that. And now, because of the enormity of the change that the whole fabric of existing is shifting, it can feel like I'm crazy, because the way I used to be isn't here anymore. It literally gets wiped from reality. And then those old neurological sequences that try to find that, they're like, it's not there. Uh-oh, what's happening? And it feels, there's a level of, I feel crazy. And for me, what I do with that is I get into my still point and I breathe. And I realize that this is just part of the process of what's happening when reality reorganizes. And I know, feel, firmly believe that we're headed back to more of our original way of operating, how we were designed, which is unconditionally love-based. And as we separated from source essence, we did a bunch of other stuff, right? And there were a lot of separation dynamics, which, caused us to do unkind things to ourselves and to other people. And now we're kind of in the process of that all finishing and completing, and that cycle cleaning itself up. And we're coming back to being able to be here in a way that's more aligned. Now we're kind of in the nitty-gritty of it right now. And, I loosely stay on top of the events that are happening in our world because I just do, and it helps with the kind of collective and the work that I do on lots of different levels in our reality. And so if you look, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of change, there's a lot of people on edge. And what I know for myself around that, it's because what was isn't anymore, and that's a little insanity producing. And that's why you too might have this feeling of being a little crazy. Now, there are some of us that are much better at navigating situations where we have a lot of sensations or feelings about it. And that doesn't mean we're necessarily spiritually bypassing. We just don't have to be reactionary or respond to stimulus in our environment in a way that we can stay functional. And some people are better than that than others. Other people get more emotionally triggered or have bigger responses and need to spend more time with working through those issues than other people, right? So, yay for the super functional people, no matter what's happening in their world, and yay for the people that are processing whatever they got going on to literally shift the reality within and shift the reality without. Everybody's got their role here. And my thing is that in this conversation that we're having in this energetic container, when I invite you to look at the yes points, the perspective points, the navigational points, what that means is that you have a access to your light, to the divine essence that you are in such a way that you are not thrown off center and you continually get more access. And in this process, what I'm seeing and experiencing and witnessing is that there's a heck of a lot more stimuli. So, so the importance of getting our access and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that that divine life force is here. It's who we are. It's more and more important to know that, to feel that, to do what you need to do on any given day, in any given moment, to keep that as strong as possible. And that is not always comfortable. This sensationalism, in terms of the sensations that we are experiencing right now, might be super intense. And that can be true for the super functional people and the people that are going through the dark night of the soul and are feeling all kinds of emotions that need to express and doing a lot of kind of messy internal work. For all of us, it doesn't mean that there aren't intense sensations, because there could be. And man, if you're one of those people that are just kind of flying right through it and you feel like you're just here and you're doing exactly what you need to be doing and you're not dipping very low, bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. And you are also playing a very vital role in this reorganization of the fabric of how we're operating. This is big stuff. This is really big stuff. It's disorienting. It can be disorienting. It can be confusing. It can be physically painful, emotionally painful, spiritually painful. And if there's anything that you kind of haven't looked at that you need to look at because your soul really wants you to release any electromagnetic charge about a belief, about a trauma, about a situation that's kind of getting in the way of your ability to feel your life force essence, if your soul is wanting to resolve that, it's going to be here for you. Okay, so take a breath here. And that is an extraordinary thing. And the more, the better we can navigate those. And we're all in this together, right? I don't make any bones about that. You know, I have a pretty great life, right? And I feel deep emotions. And I process what you would say pretty hard sometimes. And I don't make such a big deal out of it anymore, even though it's so effing uncomfortable, right? I know that as I go through this, reality is shifting. Our Earth, our Gaia, our Mother Earth, our solar system, all of it is shifting. And when I am able to be present and get that life force energy right here, know it's here, focus on it, allow that to guide me, because going for it, showing up, isn't driven by my ego or my lower mind. I know we know this, and we're getting an opportunity to practice this in more ways, because the seeming threats to our existence are real, because the way we've been operating is shifting. It's literally falling apart. The institutions are. And I think that that's that life force energy, that unconditional love that's coming in to bring it in greater alignment. We're not supposed to have power over dynamics. We've had it for a very long time here. Look at all the power plays happening in the outer world, and it might even be happening in your relationships, right? So how do we navigate? How do we find what's right for us in any given moment? And I will continue to talk about this. Breathe into you. Be you. Go for that. If the best you can do in any moment is breathe, just do that in the best way you know how. Sometimes there are situations or things that I do that don't seem the healthiest, and that might mean, I don't know, chocolate-covered espresso beans have been my best friend for a long time right now, and people that know me know this. And I do believe that for whatever reason, they are helping me navigate, this reality, right? And sometimes my human mind says, you shouldn't be doing that. And I was like, well, this is my personal example of this, right? I'm going to do it. And I know I'm going to do it. And I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent sometimes. And I know I'm going to do it. And I am not going to allow that human mind that thinks that it's a bad thing to eat these things dominate. And that's what the people that are, I'll say, awake enough in their reality, the fully functional ones, they feel these things happening, and they know when to ignore the voices or the sensations. They're not ignoring them in the sense that they're not feeling them and they don't know they're there, but they're not reacting or responding to them. Right? And for me, I know that I'm going to have those chocolate covered espresso beans, so I'm going to enjoy them to the best of my ability. And I love this. Years and years ago, Matt Kahn had said something like, if you're going to do it and you can't do it, well, then do the best you can and be, the gold star version of yourself, that does that. So, my joke with this is I'm the best dark chocolate covered espresso bean eater ever, right? And you can even do that with some of, our less likable behaviors. And that really breaks up that system of judgment that keeps us, that flow of divine consciousness from moving through us as us. That's what judgment does. So even if I'm doing something that looks out of alignment, I can stay out of the judgment. I can appreciate that I'm doing it, and I can enjoy it as much as I can. And if I need to take corrective action at some point, I know I will. I mean, that's what I've proven to myself, that's that showing up thing. I will show up. I'm committed to showing up, right? And I'm committed to going for it. So those kind of navigational, be present moments, those ways of being in the world where I can be okay. If I can find my okayness, I'm golden. Even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of incredible pain on any level, even in the midst of incredible bliss. That lack of attachment that surrendering to the true essence of who I am allows for miracles to happen. I'm not attached to outcome. I'm attached to, not attached, I'm committed to going for it and being present. All right, so we've hit our 20-minute mark, almost on 21 minutes here, and I want to keep it short. So let's just breathe a little bit as we finish. My goodness, be you. I can't tell you how important you are here. Oh, I just want to cry because it's so true. We need you. We need you. Right? In whatever form, whatever showing up means for you, we need you. So much love to you. So much love. May grace just fill your entire world right now. Please like, share this, comment. If you want to hear about any topics, let me know. I kind of like just going blind on something and just started going into seeing what comes of it. So if you got a topic, email me, comment, and we'll see what happens there. So for now, so much love, so many blessings to you. I know you to be an incredible being of light. Bye for now.